Welcome to the Let It Bleed podcast, a place where you can hear the liquor-fueled ramblings of two narcissistic wizards who conjure the essence of inspirational people every week and bring it straight to you.
Just how do you plan on doing that? Magic. Motherfucker.
And now for the wizards themselves, David Amaya and Phil Arroyo.
Well, you know, we've got another podcast episode for you once again with my man Kevin. I think this is the third time he's been on now.
Yeah, number 3, ST4RFOX back in the building.
And we're bringing him under the intro to introduce himself.
No, on the third time you unlock
it's like a new level. You're able to come under the intro and unlock it.
Yeah.
And say it. You know, that's like Mario Brothers, like special fucking level. You know, like when you get the flute in Mario Brothers and then you just keep flying to different worlds.
Yes.
Anyways, I could go off forever on that. We're not going on any other tangents. We have a really cool podcast that we just recorded. It was really fun.
There's a lot of flute involved.
Yeah, a lot of all kinds of stuff. You know, talking about the bass music scene, just the hip hop scene, the way it's changed from the past to now, just kind of where it's going, the producer scene, obviously the political spectrum.
Can I read through some of? Let's see. I've got the notes here. These are the notes that I take when I'm doing this.
There you go. Play the notes.
Country music, chicken sashimi. Let's see. Vocabulary. The producer age. Depression rap. Rap drama on Instagram. EDM Pokemon. Total surround sound.
When did we talk about Pokemon?
Let's see. New ways to process audio. Forbes list. Parkland, Texas. Yeah. Okay. So then we get political. Oh, good stuff.
And okay.
Oh, and music is the opposite of war. I like that one.
So a lot of stuff as you're driving off, or wanting to stay inside in the air conditioning during this hot ass week.
It's hot as fuck.
It's been hot as fuck. Stay cool, drink your water, and listen to Let It Bleed. Just
it will cool you down.
Yeah.
And that is not FDI insured.
Check it out. So next week we have the Kazooloo Mountain Jam up in the Angeles Forest. It might be hot, but it's still going to be a great time. It's the second one we've done. Bring up your live instruments, your acoustic instruments. We're going to have a huge fucking jam on the mountain. It's going to be a great time. Yes, and you will get a free kazoo, a special free kazoo.
Act now
for just $10. No, so check that out. We got a show coming up on August 11th that I'm going to be coordinating with Psychedelic Lions Den for B-sides. It's going to be dubstep and grime music out in downtown LA.
Yeah, Jay Kenzo, right?
Yeah, it's going to be the first time I'm working with these guys, and we've got like solid art and vendor lineup, so I could at least speak to that. And then I'm kind of going into a new world musically, which I'm sure Kevin could tell you all about that and say how good it is. So check that out, August 11th. You can get tickets now.
Real good.
Yeah,
nice.
Real good. 10, and then I think it's going up to $15 once they announce the UK Grime Act that's coming out. And then it'll be $20 at the door and $25 after 10:30. So hit me up if you guys want to go to that. Also, what else we got going on for you, Kevin? I
mean, lots and lots, Got a new collaboration about to be out with Mr. Chase Nugent. Some wobbly wobbly post-trap bass, live hip-hop, live horns kind of track. Hard to describe, but
when can we
feels good on the booty.
Dope.
That want to be about 2 weeks from now. Just finalizing some last little bits on the mix down and little highlights we want to do, little ad-lib vocals.
And your next show?
Next show coming up July 19th with the Ruckus in Santa Monica.
That's going to be cool.
That one's going to be super fun, live band action. Got the Kazooloo Mountain Jam. Right after that, got to get those kazoo chops real strong.
There you go.
Yeah, and then...
we got Subdrip.
Yeah, we've got the Subdrip show out in San Diego on the 26th. And then finalizing here at the end of the month, Long Beach, OG gangster style, right next to the beach. July 28th, Saturday night, going to be doing that with Nugent and Dream Life. Going to be a whole live trio, hip-hop, jazz, bass, just craziness.
Hell
Pandemonium.
Yeah. Pandemonium.
That sounds dope.
Fuck, it looks like I figured out what I'm doing after work that night. I just got to get my tickets. Well, yeah, without any further ado, though, we're going to go ahead and just jump right into this podcast episode here.
Subscribe to us. Follow us on social media at Let It Bleedcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And, yeah, I think that is the last of little bits we wanted to get out to. Of course, Hood red stuff with 3 F's. Nobody cares, Phil. Blah, 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 blah. You guys fucking get it.
Blah, 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 blah,
Skip
blah.
that. Say the thing.
Let it bleed. Let it bleed.
Step things up, simplify shit, like get it all kind of ready to go. Learn a little bit more about the engineering of it all, and then like, yeah, we got a thing now. You know?
Yeah. No, this is good. This is isolated. Like, I don't know. I like the positioning because you can see each other.
Yes. Yeah.
Before it was like kind of like this, like and like kind of off.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
And you were off to the side. Now, like we can look at you like you're like part of the whole deal.
It took me way too long to realize that like how much that was fucking shit up. You know, just like, oh, everybody having to awkwardly do this, or me and him having to like squeeze in on a mic, and how it would all like kind of come through. And now it's like way better. Normally I have these windows closed, but like it is fucking like
hot as
85
balls.
degrees out at like 9 p.m. So fuck that shit.
Degrees.
Everybody will have to like, you know, if there's any outside noise, we'll have to deal with it. Fucking latent fireworks and whatnot.
I'll be alright. Add the live element.
Exactly.
Speaking
Like,
of live element,
talking
where the
over
fuck
there.
is your saxophone? Why are you not playing your saxophone?
Tell me to bring my sax.
Yes,
I'll bring. I'll
dance monkey, dance.
Dance.
Yeah, tell me and I'll bring it. I was
Oh.
thinking about bringing it actually. I was thinking that'd be a cool idea to play like a little cover song to kick things off.
Dude, yeah, never a bad idea. That
Well,
shit's always good.
What's the
But-
one that you were playing at the end of? Where were we? I forgot where like they shut down the music and you were still like playing it like it's that classic song that's like do 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 do.
Okay,
Oh,
Whisper.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
the Kenny G
it's
shit?
George Michael.
Oh, George Michael, thank you.
George
Yeah.
Michael, yeah, okay, that one.
George.
You were where was it that you were just playing that over and over again?
Oh,
After
that was the.
they shut down the music and everybody's
that
like,
was-
"Oh my god!"
That was the Santa Ana Art Walk for Cinco de Mayo.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah.
Because we ended up with like tequila.
Yeah,
towards
we
the
finished
end,
on
and I was playing
tequila.
the tequila.
That's right.
That
the
was
tequila
cool.
song.
Fuck yeah, that shit was dope. Dude,
Yeah, it's good.
yeah. You know in China, they like it, like they just love George Michael over there. And that's like one of their official songs for like when stuff is closing. So like malls and shit, they'll play that over the speaker and everybody's like, oh, okay, it's time to go home. Like,
That's
I
actually
know-
a really good like thing to tell people that you need to go home instead of like playing like closing time or what's the thing that they play at festivals that's like clean up.
Oh, that's the Dulab song.
Oh, it's a Dulab one.
Yeah,
Like,
made
did they
at the
make it?
band. Yeah,
Okay.
I think I'm pretty sure they made that.
You're
song.
right. It's
I
only
have
was
been
it was
looking
been
for
only
that
at
song
Dulab
for-
festivals that I've heard it, but like when they shut down the festival,
Clean up,
yeah,
clean up, put your things away. Yeah, man. Like I've been trying to find that shit. So like, this has come up a few times in conversation before, where I've tried to like show somebody that song, and I can never find it. I don't know who the hell like made it or something like that. And it's catchy as hell. It gets stuck in my head.
yeah, and it gets people to clean up. But
Bastardos.
I don't
And
really.
it's like the closing song of a festival, which is kind of fun.
Well, I don't think
For
I've gone. Can't remember
Dulab.
the last festival I've gone to where like you need to clean up or where they stop anything from going on. It's kind of been just like more renegade stuff where you just stay up as late as you want and there is no cleanup until the very end.
Yeah,
Until you're leaving.
depends on who's running it and what they're going for. If they can get the crowd to help clean up, they can save a lot on how much people they have to.
Well, everybody
hire
should be
and pay to
cleaning up.
do
That's
it.
for sure.
And it makes the job easier.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
definitely good. People definitely need to be cleaning up. Because they were like showing some videos about, and I see these for pretty much every like major festival too. But after Electric Forest this last weekend or 2 weekends ago, they were showing all of the trash that people were still picking up like today. You know, over a week and a half after the festival, like how there's still people there taking stuff away,
Yeah,
and it's
a
just
lot.
it's ludicrous.
As
But-
it gets worse, I'm like, yo, like, weren't we all kind of about this thing?
It's
You
the
know?
numbers thing though, man. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
that's the thing. It's a numbers thing. You get that many people into any kind of situation, and they're just going to take over and do the shitty things that I think people tend to
they're
do.
just going to assume because there's so many other people there that they can do it. That there's like, you know, that they have to have something else figured out for that. But it just doesn't work
Oh,
that
it's all
way.
the fucking Shella people.
Yeah, you know, I mean,
Yeah, bro.
it's
It's
that
kind of from the
Shut
80s rock star mentality, I think. We're like, or maybe even going back in the past, I'm sure it's just like the rock star mentality where you trash the room and like you go like full out. nothing matters and stuff. Like you kind of want to live that lifestyle when you're partying reckless like this, and some of the people really get into that. Or there's other hippies that are like, no, keep it clean. So
yeah, and I think it's probably an unusual concept to a lot of people that like that being a part of like the culture that comes along with it. You know, because I feel like that's like it's like a rock thing. It's like you can go to pretty much any genre and you see kind of the same issues and those same
country
things
music's
popping
the
up.
worst.
Yeah,
from what I've heard from like Stagecoach with the amount of fights and how dirty it gets.
Yeah, no, I've seen that should be crazy. Like I've been.
Well, there's only
worse
really
than
like a
metal
couple of things
festivals.
that are in existence at those kinds of festivals, right? It's like beer, boobs, and country music, you know, and that's pretty much like what
That's the
people are there.
American
Like
dream.
that's what the guys are there for. Like they could give a fuck less about Toby Keith or fucking whoever the fucking Hunter McGavin McGraw, whatever the fuck their names are. You
Hunter
know,
McGraw. That's probably
they don't
it.
give
Yeah,
a
that
shit
sounds
about
good.
those guys. They're there for the girls. That's just straight up, you know. And when they are there for the music, I'm just like, man.
It's so
Have
many
you
people
heard
just
this
jacked up and
music?
just drunk and just like ready to fight.
This is me being an asshole and overgeneralizing. Sorry, if you guys like country music, I'm sorry.
No,
For your taste.
I've been there. Like I've gone to like a lot of country
Me
places
too.
and shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like I've seen that shit myself. Like,
Yeah.
it's like just as bad as like pretty much any other genre that you'd see.
Because it's
you
not
know?
like an old honky tonk, like, you know, where they were playing some fucking Hank Williams Sr., some real country
even
music.
those fuckers partied harder than
Oh,
any like
but that's-
rapper,
but that's-
any fucking
That's
like,
justified in my opinion because at least the music's good. This new shit that's out there right now, that's my point. I just want to make that. Like, there's good country and then there's Nashville pop. All of these new festivals are like Nashville pop. Unless if you go to Nashville, then you're going to stumble across some real outlaw country type shit. You know, some good stuff like Hank Williams III or something. That's some fucking real rock and roll country music. Not this fucking
great.
Toby Keith fucking...
I don't,
he's pretty much the only person I know.
Take it easy on Toby
you've gone
Keith.
back to that well like 9 times already. You can.
Dirk
Did Toby Keith.
Dirks Bentley.
Dirks Bentley.
Dirks
yeah.
Bentley. That's another one that I know.
Yeah. No, I can name a bunch. Because I used to go to that bar in Fullerton.
Yeah, me
in
too.
Cahoots.
I used to go there all the time, and I still couldn't tell you. I know Garth Brooks.
Garth Brooks, yeah.
Garth Brooks is dope.
Yeah, no, there's a bunch of them that
Yeah.
I like. You know, there's like that Zach Brown band. There's like the Jason Aldean. I like him.
No, sorry.
We got who else? Fuck, I can't think of anymore. Yeah, there's some good country people out there.
If they
Was
can,
there
like,
somebody down the street just yelling out a country star's name right now? I feel like there was. As
Probably.
we rolled up here, it's just
You know how
I'm
much
sure.
fucking country like
Yeah.
Nashville pop I'm subjected
The
to?
American
like,
flag was
with
like
these fuckers
70
across the
feet.
street, man?
70 feet tall.
the American flag was
Oh,
like
it's-
70 feet tall.
3 a.m.
In the
It's
gra-
back to back, like party in the USA, no less than 4 times a night, followed by like whoever else, other country pop bullshit. I don't know.
Ah, that's so funny.
Oh,
Proud to
Good
be an
time.
American. And at least I know I'm free.
I would
Or
like.
something like that.
I would know because I remember listening to that song too while going to church with like my friend's family, and I would be like, "Wait, what is this?" Like, because they would play it for like church. It's like, what does this have to really do with like God and church, other than just saying like,
yeah, nothing, man. It's
wait-
just a gross perversion of fucking like nationalism that
Yeah.
they're selling as like this is what it means to be a real American because
or real
it-
Christians listen to this music.
Yeah,
was
because
like,
it
what?
tricks you into
Because it
complacency.
has values.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
old values.
Good old
Ask them to name
American
3,
values.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they can't. Like
Beer, chicken, buttocks. The American woman buttocks.
Oh man, I wish it was only that.
Finger licking.
Not something that was like
No.
destructive. but
If
Jesus
people
Christ.
just let it just be that, then it could be just that. But they don't. Everybody's all tightened up
See,
in
I think
different
we'd be-
things other than chicken and boobs.
we'd be better off if we could just
Or no,
focus
wait, it
on
was
like
butts.
beer, chicken, and butts.
You're right.
Like
That's true. That's
those
the
are 3
materials
things
for
that we
Speaking
have
of
in
chicken,
common.
what kind
great
of chicken you got
everything.
over there?
Art.
Yeah.
You could dance to it.
She just
The-
comes up in here with,
She's somebody who gotten all 3.
I thought you ate.
oh, we did. Well, we had sushi. We didn't have chicken.
Yeah, sake, some beer,
You guys have some
Some
raw
rolls.
chicken on some like rice, like
Ooh.
little sashimi.
chicken sashimi.
Sashimi
They sell
poultry?
it, I hear, over in Japan.
They shouldn't. That sounds like a terrible idea. Holy
Yeah.
shit.
I have a coworker who's Japanese who told me that they have chicken sashimi in Japan.
He's fucking with you, dude. He's trying to get you to try it, and then he'll laugh as you get spend the rest of the night over the toilet.
It's delicious.
salmon
It's chicken
nose.
katsu.
Not good.
Oh, that shit is good.
I barely had that for the first time. I barely had it. For
Burley.
like the first time, barely, like the other day, fool. Like
Oh,
barely.
shit.
Barely had that one, eh?
I barely
was
had
terrible.
it. It was.
Dumb Burley has some chicken katsu.
Oh man.
These are all pretty good accents.
Burley, fool. Speaking about Burley, like, you know, you barely like fucking just like made people not die when you play like the saxophone the other night, fool.
Hey, all right.
Oh shit.
What
we
happened
go.
with that? Why don't you tell us about the Big Bang?
Yeah, Sad Girl was telling me
Oh,
about that
the
shit,
Big
man.
Bang, man. The Big Bang was an awesome event. We had a lot of people go into putting it on. So there was Molten Lava, Sweet Tunes, RGL, K-Tribe. My friends at the Psychedelics Lions Den came and did some awesome art. You had Squid Emoji with visuals. The Good Nature Collective helped throw on a little bit of their talent. We had Fuzzy Puddles in the building, Synaptic, all sorts of people there to support the music, the art, and the
I love
curation
how
of awesome
like
vibe.
it's like all like rappers that like you're naming off, but it's like all of our like our own organizations of people like doing different things. There was like a lot of fucking people there.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome. Like it's just so many people coming together to like make this one collective thing happen.
That's the best events for me. Is it's a group's effort to make something beautiful instead of just like one individualized effort. And you get a lot of open ideas and all sorts of creativity that comes from that.
Yeah.
That's the first time I said creativity with a D. Creativity.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was
That
gonna
was
say.
that was a rapper slang for you.
There we go.
You can rhyme anything if you just
Almost
change
like
up
a
the letters
party
a little bit.
Voltron, you know, all those crews come together and like, you know, just bring the best of everything that these people got. And it's, you know, you come up with some dope shit after that, no matter what.
Well, a special treat on this one show is similar to what we had at the Art Walk in Santa Ana, and also what you did with at Base Waffles too. Like you guys had Chase come on and rap, and we've had Chase on the show in the past, like about a month or so ago, a couple months ago,
Yeah, something like that.
something like that.
He's a great human being. He goes by Nugent. This is his artist name officially. He's been
We taught that out. Like he was like, you know what? I'm thinking about doing that. I'm gonna rock with that. And then, you know, right after that, he started using it. So I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, I'm stoked. We've been working on music quite a bit. We were just in the lab a couple days ago, coming up with some stuff. He's going to be featured on a lot of different artists' records, so I want to help put him out there. I loved when I heard him flow on top of stuff while we were just hanging out and practicing, and it was natural to fit him into shows. When I was at the Fuzzy Puddles campout, he also was flowing over one of my other buddy sets and was killing it. So I see him being like definitely a force to be reckoned with over the years as it comes. But right now, the way he goes into freestyling shows and his like choice for what songs he likes goes really well with what I like to do. And the live aspect of improving his lyrics and making up stuff on the spot and feeling the crowd goes right with what I'm trying to do with my horns. So it's like a really good person to bounce ideas off of.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I definitely love what we've been doing so far.
So what is it? What have you guys got now? Like in terms of an idea of what you're gonna do? Is it gonna be you and him, or you and Justin and him, or is it like what's the?
Well,
Do you have a name or like something you guys are working toward?
there's things in the works. We're not sure directly what direction to go with yet. I know that we all have very busy schedules and have a lot of opportunities going a lot of different directions. So I think when we come together right now, we've just been going under our individualized names so that individual fans of what we've been doing so far want to come out and check out our collaborative efforts. I think we may go with a name for a group if we really do create a lot of songs we've written together and a whole show that's dedicated to the act. But we've been curating more and more music that goes great with the live hip-hop and horns going on top. And I see that it's going to keep growing and growing, and we'll see if we don't have a new name for it and like a mini tour schedule and stuff because people like us so much. We were brainstorming some ideas today of where Justin DJs play some MIDI drums and different kind of like hand percussion, where Chase has his own setup where he does vocals but has all these different vocal effects and gear that he can manipulate things live with.
That'd
And then
be
I have
cool.
my pod, so all three of us can bounce off our ideas together and be jamming so that we have something to do on each song. Because truly, the sets that I'm used to playing, I can DJ the whole time. I have no issue. You don't need a back-to-back person, but that's fun to go into making a mix and share our ideas as to which songs to pick. And in the moment, it's fun to go back and forth too. So don't deny it, but it's not a job that like really needs filling to put out the song product that I'm thinking of in my head. So what we want to do is have everybody have something to do each song so that there's a performance going on the whole time where we're all getting down. And I think that that's what's going to take it and elevate it to being a real trio group.
Right.
That is like amazing news to hear, man. Because when I heard like I know you and Justin work so well together, but really before I knew Chase, and when you're like, oh yeah, we got this guy who's gonna come out, and I remember just being absolutely fucking blown away by the entire set, and knowing that so much of it was just you guys kind of bouncing off each other. So if you guys are in the studio like recording on some shit, like you can count me excited as fuck because that your guys' shit was actually like I was expecting good things, but I wasn't expecting like that.
He
That was
certainly
sick.
has a very good flow, like for the style, for the beats that you guys create. Like he definitely,
I love it, yeah, because you can
it
hear
carries
every
all
word.
of the underground like essence to it, like
Yeah.
all of that like good like atmosphere, fucking like all of like just the underground rap that I grew up like loving and listening to, but it is still relevant in lyrics and like definitely not trite. When I listen to it, it's definitely like, oh shit, that's kind of
It's
fresh.
He's
you
being
can
fresh
tell you
and
guys put the
real.
work in.
yeah.
No, he's always
It's a
writing
true
lyrics.
expression.
He's
It's
on top
coming
of it.
straight from like him. He's not trying to be anybody else. It's definitely an artistic expression, and I love it.
Yeah, he's super talented. Whenever we get together, he has a lyrics book and is just flipping through, writing down ideas. He's also just off the top of his head coming up with really great lyrics that I definitely connect with, and I could tell he has a talent for. It's not just rhyming, but like a higher vocabulary. Yeah, it's another rap word.
You're making up
vocabulary.
words. I like this shit.
Yeah, the Saki was great during dinner. by the way.
vocabulary, fool.
My vocabulary.
Is that the name of the group?
It's part of my vocabulary.
His
fool. Don't-
vocabulary is.
Just because my vocabulary is bigger than yours, fool, don't be like jealous. Hey.
No, I'm jealous for sure. My vocabulary is all off its polarities.
That's the name of the episode right there, vocabulary.
I already had it written down.
Oh, damn it. Like literally, fool?
Literally.
Like
Nah,
right there, like
we had
literally.
the same idea.
Yeah, man, he's really good at flowing though. Like when you can hear every word they're saying, and you can hear sentences and ideas and like bridge paragraphs together. Like you don't hear that in a lot of rappers, especially nowadays. You can barely tell what they say a couple words together, let alone like what they mean by it. Yeah. That was it. We had it. We just need some fat 808s underneath.
Yeah, that was perfect.
Yeah, that was good.
Come on, was it good?
Why
Am
no.
I the authority?
Because
We
you're
just
on-
need like
you're on live
what
London.
she calls scary Halloween music, or like
Tasty.
scary Christmas music. That's what it was.
Yeah.
That, actually, I kind of want to take that like and make a song out of.
You should.
Well, after this, yeah.
I'll send you. Yeah,
we'll fuck with it.
I'll send you the stems here. This track I'm building.
So with
It's gonna
like
be
new
dope.
hip hop beats and stuff, what would you say that kind of is like the distinguishing like factor or like the thing that like makes something that falls under this new hip hop beat style? I've noticed like a lot of it's just like really heavy bass and like pianos, if anything, for the like the melodic side of stuff. It's just
Well,
like
we're in
like
the
a couple-
producer age now, and DJs have blown up huge, and so they're putting on these shows where you don't even need a rapper, and all these people are getting down to the same beats that people 10 years ago had to have a rapper, and like that was part of the thing. Like they've erased how necessary the rapper is and put a lot more emphasis on how important the sound system is in the event, and like people just go off. And so when you have that live vocal on top, it just is like a little icing on the cake, where before it used to be a little more of substance to the overall performance. So I think nowadays when there's new hip hop coming out, the vocals are more of an afterthought than being at the forefront. Like you couldn't imagine Tupac or Biggie or some of the biggest artists we know from the 90s, where if their lyrics were out of the track, would you really, be bumping that all the time? But nowadays, a lot of these new hip hop songs, you could get rid of Lil Yachty or whatever, Lil Blimp, Lil Bup, Lil
Please
fucking
do.
whatever it is,
Lil Blink
and
Blink.
the beats are dope. Like I don't really need them. So the producer age has pushed all these really great beats in, and I think that's changed because people love hearing great music, and if it's a great beat, they might like the song even if the lyrics are a little not so great or the sound of the vocals aren't so great. So a lot of stuff that's not so quality in that level is coming through. I think we're hearing that a lot more. But there's still amazing hip hop artists out there, and that's why somebody like Chase, I want to help support and get him out and have as many people know about him, because there's people that are really writing down words that mean something to them and are storytellers and are very talented with rhythm and musicality and even the jazzy side of like being able to take ideas and just throw them in a blender and really bounce around and have versatility.
Yeah. I guess what I was asking before, though, was like about the musical side of it. Like when it comes to producing a beat, like with newer music, do you notice like a kind of like signature, or not a signature, like a kind of just standard sound that'll like a lot of like the hip hop songs that are out there now kind of?
You could definitely like see a pattern going on. It's one artist will be very influential, and then a lot of artists will try to copy them, and that's happened all throughout history. Like you can think in the DJ world with Skrillex, how there was right after Skrillex, there's about 500 DJs in every area code that wanted to play the same kind of heavy, weird dubstep that he was going on with. And it's the same thing with like hip hop. When people see somebody with, you know, blinged out chains and silver teeth, and they're drinking lean, and it's like the same kind of flow, but it's really heavy, and you want to do that same thing. There's this whole like group of nowadays kids that really like these heavy, sedative, mind-altering substances mixed with like droned out, like heavy reverbed hip-hop vibes. And so like there's this thing that they just want to recreate that experience over and over of like this really drugged out kind of,
it's like sad
feel.
rap.
Yeah, it's like almost like depression hop is like kind of settling
that's
in.
definitely what it is, and it goes along with our society, like the youth. Like it's kind of like, as we were saying before and in talking about it in the past episodes, but we were just talking about this at dinner, how it's such a common thing for like people to just kind of try to make light of their circumstances or their situations, their depression, by like making jokes about it, like, you know,
It's gallows humor.
Yeah, it's just like, but like everybody's really fucking in pain. Like
mental
like,
health is a huge thing we
and
don't
so
really address.
Going
as a
over the
society.
top and doing all of these things like that, especially because like I don't understand the appeal of it myself personally, like a lot of the younger stuff, but like I see how people go crazy for it, and I feel like this is just one of those things that is like a generation gap, like for me, you know, because everybody, like our parents have it, like from us to them, you know, and there's just certain things, like even if I don't get it, it's obviously something to these people, like, you know, the way that like when we were younger, alternative music, or like, you know, listening to like Sublime or something, you know, might have been to us where like they were just like, oh, that's just some degenerate, you know, garbage or whatever.
Every generation says that about the new generation's music.
But like I kind of noticed that it is a very similar thing. Like you can kind of look at like Sublime and like with Bradley Nowell, just like a different telling into a new age where it's like these kids are, you know, they're young and they're fucking, you know, they're rising to stardom. They're very expressive, very creative in their own right. They probably don't get enough credit for it because, you know, their appearances are kind of like outlandish, but you kind of realize toward the end they're just, because they don't give a fuck. Like they just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like they don't give a fuck any which way. Like they're just, to them it's kind of just like this, you know, numb it all. Like who cares? Like it's all, I just don't want to even deal with it. Like, and that's what brings out their art, you know, like they've got, when I actually listen to a lot of like lyrics for a lot of the hip hop that I tend to write off so quickly because it's, you know, falls under that a certain style that I'm just not fond of. When I like listen to the lyrics, I'm like, oh shit, like okay, they are talking about more than just nonsense, you know, because a lot of it is just fucking nonsense.
Some of them are talking about absolute nonsense, but a lot of them sound, or like a lot of the beats are similar or something like that, or you know, the way it kind of meshes in, like some of it does kind of come off like that. And so I know I've had the same thing where I wrote off so many people who I've like, you know, back kind of when everything was like starting up, like let's say 2-3 years ago or something shit like that, and I started to hear them, and then I'm like, okay, this whole genre is trash. And then I kind of like put them away for a while, and then as I started listening to like more, it starts like, you know, infecting my my little mental ecosystem here. Like I'm like, oh wait, no shit. A lot of them are really, really pretty sick. But some of them, like, they make tracks or they're on the same track with the ones who are terrible. But like A$AP Rocky actually is really fucking dope.
Yeah, and A$AP Ferg.
A$AP Ferg. I think A$AP Ferg is trash.
Well, I
love the A$APs right now.
I like the hoodness of it though. I like that he still keeps it like on that hood shit where it still flows. It's pretty dope. Like A$AP Rocky is. I think that they're just different people, and they're like, not everybody's gonna be like on the level that relates to you personally, but like for me, I think I still like ASAP Ferg better than I like a lot of other like shit that's out there that you're just like, okay, they're just talking about trash. Like that's just like nonsense. It's
yeah, no, he's way better than like Lil Yachty, Lil Uzi Vert.
Yeah.
You know,
those
the
guys.
fucking what's his name?
The
I don't know, there's
Tekashi 6ix9ine guy.
too many white guys with face tattoos.
Is
I
that
can't
Tiki?
keep them all straight anymore.
No, there's that Tekashi what his name is? It Tekashi 6ix9ine. He's like that guy that's like doing this thing. This is okay. If you ever want to get sucked into some nonsense, like some rabbit holes at work, do you ever like you guys
look at the upcoming artists on the observatory?
basically maybe perhaps, but no, go and YouTube some of these fucking videos of like this Tekashi 6ix9ine guy, rainbow hair, face tattoos, like that whole similar thing. But this guy, I guess. He looks like a little gremlin, dude, and he like straight up like.
I mean, that's a lot of them,
dude. Like, but he okay. Well, shit. No, this guy looks like, and we're being such haters on this episode. But no, he did. This guy, like, seriously, anybody go look at this motherfucker up. He looks like a fucking gremlin, and I guess like the whole appeal or the whole thing that is drawing people to this guy is that like he is doing this like gangster world tour right now, where he's going to all these places, and apparently. Somehow, and this is now like a soap opera that's a real life soap opera created by like the rap and gangsters people of like the Los Angeles community or like surrounding states. He says he can go anywhere without having to check in, and so all these like bosses of all these gangs and shit like that all over like California and so like they're making live videos and they're making videos like calling him out saying like the green light's on you better watch out. So like his whole thing is he's going around, he's claiming to like fucking play like live videos of I'm in LA, yo, nobody's gonna what's up, like nobody could do this shit to me, but like they're realizing that he's doing it not in real time, and so there's like people are trying to go there to these places to like find him and fight him, and he's actually gotten hit up by like random people that saw him at like the airport before. So it's like a real thing, like it's like this big fucking soap opera from like in the rap world. Like it's like so dramatic, but there's not, but it's not fake, it's real. Like they're like on the phone broadcasting it because we can do that now, because you don't need a company to make movies. You just have TMZ that can like gather up all this fucking, you know, evidence of what's going on.
What do you mean TMZ? It could just be Instagram Live.
Or
Instagram
Live.
Can you imagine
Live,
like Tupac and Biggie like talking shit on Instagram Live?
Well, that's what I'm saying. No, they're taking stuff from Instagram Live. They're taking like videos and shit. And they're like making stuff later on and like and hyping it up. Like that's what I was watching. Like you can get sucked into these videos where these guys are going around saying, "Nah, he said this, but this person went blah blah." You're like, what the fuck am I watching right now? Like, what is going on? What the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, there's way more shit that's like that nowadays.
But like to me, it's a joke. But like a whole portion of the youth, like a lot of fucking kids, they're like into it, like they love it and they look up to this guy or something. Like it's like, what the fuck? Maybe not him in particular, but like a lot of the music that's of that same you know genre.
Yeah, there's a lot of like, you know, gimmicks that go along with this shit, you know. A lot of like, you know, the personality kind of really goes past the music there. And you know, it was around when we were kids too. Like every generation has got those. And fuck, we probably forgot most names that came up when it came to that shit. But like, you know, and I'm hearing him too. Like, you know, Extension. Like, I'd never heard of him until he got shot. Like,
yeah, same thing. He posted like I saw people hating on him. Some people
I didn't even know who he was at all. Yeah,
a lot of posts about him. I'm like, who? This guy has a terrible name.
Yeah,
terrible name. I would not even listen to his music because he puts XXX to start with it. That's like I think it's fucking stupid. But like, then he dies, and I'm like, oh, all right. What? I guess. I mean, it sucks when people die, and you know, but like.
But yeah, I was
how
like,
much it affected my community. I was really surprised. Like, is this a thing we do? It's like whatever trending internet death is. Everybody has to comment on it.
Yeah.
Even though they don't really have much to say. It's
weird. It made me like, I'm like, oh, that's a bummer that guy died. And then like after that went on for like a day, I'm like, oh, I learned more about this guy. Fuck that guy. Like he was a giant piece of shit. Like whatever.
Yeah, I don't know anything about all that. I just know that it's just a weird, it's just so different. And this is the first time where I can say, like, I feel like I hit that old people mark where I'm like saying old people things like, oh, back in my day, the rap music was...
No, like I'm 32 and I feel like I'm older for hip hop than in my mentality. That should be like, I think only good stuff from the 80s, 90s, and then some of what's happened since then, you know? And like, I'm kind of bitter on new stuff, and it's really weird to feel like that already at a young age.
Yeah.
But it has changed a lot from what connected me to those songs as a kid when it was my favorite genre. My favorite thing to listen to. I'd throw on hip hop. So it's just a difference. So that's one of the reasons why I've gone with my project with live horns and jazz elements and like conscious hip hop, is to bring back what I love about hip hop, but through my own lenses with all these great collaborative people, and kind of showing what it still can be, and how it can change but keep some of the olds still alive, because a lot of that content I still think really people need, like they will really connect with, versus just this random nonsense where you can't tell what they're saying, or it's all just kind of a depressing mood, or it's all about momentary monetary things.
Yeah, no, people are hungry for that, and I mean that's what keeps me like hopeful. Like, I joke about a lot of these people because they're, to me they're sideshows, like they're fucking clowns. But I know there's also a lot of really dope people, yourself included, that are like out there still making good music, because the benefit of it being like this internet age and everybody being able to like get their shit out there is that like really there's no limit to like genres now.
Yeah.
Like there are still people who are making like the 80s 90s style stuff. Like there's really some, like that's all still being made, and there are a lot of really cool people out there that are doing that. You just kind of, you got to put some effort in to look for it, because it might not be on the radio,
So,
Yeah,
we were having
definitely.
sushi right now, and we were saying, because we were in like this little sushi joint down the street, and they were playing some like kind of tackier like 90s 80s 90s like like kind of
Almost porno jazz.
department store
Store
music,
jazz.
like you're like that type of jazz. But he was realizing that the bass line was no, I know this bass line, and he recognized it from a Grizz song, and it was like, really what that is, it's like these producers are really going back and like probably picking out these songs that they fucking knew were like that nobody knew, and they're kind of just like just taking the general bass line, because I mean they are just general like blues or like rhythm and blues type, like funk, soul, and jazz rhythms, but then they just like threw a heavy load of like electronic production over it too, and like made it to where it sounds cool now, because like we were talking about how 80s songs, a lot of that era, like the music was so bad and we thought like what the fuck, but like it really was the shit that definitely like paved the way for all of this now, because now we could take those general ideas of rhythms of fucking even synth sounds and just add heavier shit over them, and just fucking like it's like perfect timing now. It's like now it's like fucking awesome.
I wonder, like, fuck, I feel like there's like an evolution. Like I feel like you can almost see like a Pokemon evolution from like different 80s bands to like bands now, like how they got there. So I'm thinking like, oh man, Devo is totally like drum and bass, shit like that.
Yeah, I mean, well, you see it like in the house world, like just all the songs that you can just easily take and just throw, a fucking house beat over it, and you got like some dope ass remixes, and it's so simple.
Oh yeah,
and
that's
then,
honestly
and
my
with
favorite
hip hop,
thing.
with the bass music too. It's in, there's even other ways you could just recreate like simple things. Like I was telling you, the idea for if we were to play live at that like festival, the I don't want to give it away on here, but the one.
Yeah, no secrets. We'll keep it hidden.
We were talking about that one like classic song that if you just do this and then just throw some bass over it, like boom, like it just, that's all you really need, and everybody goes crazy because they're like, oh shit, I remember that song.
Well, the sound system culture has taken over. I know friends of mine that don't DJ, don't play shows, that can list to you, 5 to 10 different types of speakers that are at different shows, and they know like the difference between them and how to describe the qualities of them, because they've gone to so many shows, and the sound system is on the lineup just like everybody else is listed as an artist, or the painters, or the vendors, they're on there too. Like, so people start to get attached to Function One and Hennessy Sound and Danley's and PK and it really not only is a huge part of each show, but it changes the music that is made for a show. So, in the past, they'd have individual amps on different gear, and we'd have all this work for the live sound guy to make magical and make it happen, and there's amazing people in that avenue. But now we have a lot of shows where the sound system's already set up, 2 CDJs, it sounds fat, and it's louder than most shows were able to pull off before, especially in the low end. And so a lot of people are just get lost in that bass sound, which is one of my favorite things. So that's why I have always loved hip hop and jazz, and those two things are influencing what I'm trying to put off as an artist. But that bass that comes from the sound system is so enveloping and just awesome that a whole bunch of producers have dedicated their sound to featuring different ways to manipulate those subs and really make an experience out of it. And so I get lost in that as a producer too. I always started making music with the idea of making hip hop beats, and a lot of my friends that produce music are the same way. It's an extension of something from the past, but with this adaptation of this technology, this sound systems that are just ridiculous, it kind of changes what we're able to pull off of the show, but then also what people going to the show are looking for. And I think it's a whole new thing that's changing music altogether, that you can't deny. Like before they had, speakers set up for guitars, like fat stacks and stuff, and that sound was unlike anything else before, just like an orchestra was unlike anything else before that, like where there's small little chamber groups. Now there's this big 70-person group that's like unstoppable in terms of their like force. There's this new age with these speakers, and I just can't wait to see where it grows from that. And I think the combination of acoustic instrumentation, live vocal elements that connect with people, and then also using this sound system to your benefit is where the sweet spot is for artists going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of a trip to me. Like, because when we were, dealing with all the Big Bang setup and stuff like that, everybody, you wanted to have the speaker system on there. I was like, I don't think I've seen that, but I'm realizing it's
part of that community for sure, because it's part of the element of it. Like because that was the one thing that got me really starting to listen to it more and more. It's because like they would show me a lot of songs, on a home, system, or just like even on the computer or something. And it's like, okay, it wasn't really like my style of like tempo, because like I can just only hear like a good half of what it's supposed to be. Because then you go out to a place where you hear it on like real speakers, the speakers that they're supposed to be heard on. It gives you a whole different fucking light on like, on what it's about, why all these people are so obsessed with it.
Yeah, that picture's becoming a lot more clear to me, and like that's actually like that's a trip, but it makes a ton of sense now that you say that. Like I wasn't even really like aware of that phenomenon, but that actually like, okay, I'm on board actually with that, like that idea.
It's an awesome power to wield. I mean, the combination of just standing up there and playing songs that you love and having other people say they love it back and dance to it, that's an incredible rush that most DJs go nuts for. But then I like on another level, when you're improvising on a live instrument, or you're doing vocals like Chase does, I mean, it not only does the crowd respond even more because you're pulling back to some of their shows from the past that they love, but there's this like whole aspect of that conversation between this sound system that's this big huge force to be reckoned with, and then the live instruments, which are like hit your soul. It's just a real cool combo, and I'm hoping more music comes out like that. I've seen more and more producers that I know that are bringing live instrumentalists, like a flute player, to come in and play, or like a dope guitar, and to get in front of the stage and jam out and stuff, and I think I can't wait to see the next level of instruments come through that we haven't even seen built yet, that just like when you look at them, you're like, what the hell is this guy holding, and what does that sound? I've never even heard it before. And I think that's going to be one of the coolest new things, besides just these crazy sound systems being built to completely surround you, like maybe 4-point sound or 6-point sound, or things that are completely surround sound, where you're having speakers from every direction around you, and the producers are making music to take advantage of that, and like the environment is built towards that, completely 360 view of music.
Damn. So would that be like instead of like looking at music as like a left channel and a right channel, but looking at like a full like 6-channel spectrum and like doing songs like that?
Yeah.
That's fucking sick. Dude.
That's what I really think could be like the next step. I like where an event is like an environment, and like there's all sorts of things you can look at in every direction, and this old school mentality of you just stare at one square box stage with some lights flashing in the eyes, and the whole time your eyes are up there, and every once in a while you have a conversation of the past is changing. And like 8 years ago when I started going to these events, you could talk to friends the whole time, and it wasn't so important that you stared up at the stage. And I thought that was interesting because it got me to look around more and get engaged with the people around me. But I think you could take that even steps further and really create some crazy experiences where people just are in a whole nether world completely lost in this whole artistic expression.
Dude, that
Which
had
would be
never
awesome.
even like occurred to me. But holy shit, that's like, dude, that would get me to go to so many more shows. Are you kidding? That's a fucking like.
That's what
a
you're looking
beautiful
for with
idea.
music, I think, is to get lost in the moment. And like we were talking about hip hop, that can happen when you have some really conscious lyrics and you're really vibing out to it, or that can happen with a really beautiful music where like there's a sax solo. For me, sax is my favorite, but you hear it and it's just like hitting you, and you don't want to talk about anything. You're just like lost in this like flow in your brain, and just things make sense. And I think like more and more producers are gonna hopefully tap into that instead of the other vibes you're talking about that are plaguing hip hop currently.
You know, it's funny. I was just thinking too, like how guitar is going to now be the new saxophone or horn or like trumpet. You know,
Yeah, no,
in terms
nobody
of like
plays it.
back before guitars, like before electric guitars really even took off. You know, in like the what was it, like late 40s or early 50s. You know, it was all about horns and brass instruments and stuff like that. Jazz musicians. You know, like it wasn't about the fucking guitars at all. And then guitar like just became, since I was a little kid, since I was born, the instrument. Like that's like the, at least for me, you know, that's like the first thing that just that was the first and only thing that really truly mattered for me, was like the guitar out of all the other
I used to fall asleep with the guitar next to me for like 3 years.
Yeah, you know, and so
Like,
you
I'd play it all day.
but you can't imagine a world, because there were so many different generations of music, that like the guitar was still such a heavy thing. And not to say that it isn't now, but I mean, like, you know, there was like the 50s, 60s rock, and like 70s, 80s, and through the 90s grunge, and then, you know, even like the 2000s all the way up to now. There's still music being made with it for sure, but it is becoming more and more of this like obsolete instrument, being that like people use MIDI controllers to produce music, and you can get a guitar effect or sound if you either sample or you use like the the MIDI to live play or something, and
Well, the thing with instruments, guitar, I'm sure you can remember, like before you built up calluses on your fingers, or you got great technique in either one of the two hands, or learn how to play along with the song. That all takes time, and nowadays people have the choice when they're young musicians starting out. They can just hop on a computer, click some buttons, and every sound already sounds great. Like they can get them from these great sample packs.
Yeah.
I love sample packs, but you can take a sound that a producer spent a lot of time on developing and re-put that into your song, and then just tap a few buttons, or get a little controller or a little touchpad, launch pad, and you can just with your fingers playing a really dope drum beat that sounds great right away, or a really cool line, and where you can fix the key and you don't have to know anything about music theory. And so there's this kind of shortcuts that are hitting, where they're allowing people without a lot of effort, physically or straining or practice hours, they can sound cool right away. And I think that's what plagued a lot of old teachers' methods that I've had in the past, where some of them were incredibly inspirational, great teachers. I don't mean to sell the teacher short, but a lot of them got into these very heavy, difficult ways that you have to practice your instrument. When you're working on things, you have to do things over and over, and you get kind of lost in how tedious it is to be a musician. And nowadays there's all these things, shortcuts, that you can just bypass that. And I think a lot of kids are having fun faster doing those and getting recognized by their community more, like the kids that are killing it at piano right now, age 10 and stuff, like they have some friends that like that, but like the kid who has a MIDI controller and is making beats that play on live sound systems,
Sure.
and people are DJing, that kid's cooler, like,
Yeah,
so like there's this
even the guitar, that's the same thing with the guitar. You
Yeah.
could get a kid that like could play all this shit on the guitar now. Back when I was a kid, it would be like, that's cool, and then now it's like, who cares? Like what kind of mixer are you using?
people people care, but not as much as they used to.
Right.
Yeah. Are you getting the sense that, like, there's that thing, like, oh man, if they didn't do it the hard way, like, it's not real? Like, do you feel like that's like a sense of the community, or do you feel like it's like, no, they're doing it, they're still
Well,
making
I'm very
music,
much
like, whatever?
part of all these new changes that have taken place. If I didn't have Ableton, or MIDI controllers, or access to really good microphones, or my own ability to make music in my house, like going back to the 80s or before that, like every year has brought a new technological advancement to everything, but music included. And the years of the past had to do it harder. Had to put more effort, it was more difficult to put out a great sound. So things from 60s that are on vinyl, we can really fall in love with, because it took a lot of work to put that together. So I can appreciate old school cats are getting in that mentality of, the old way is the right way. But new technology has opened a lot of doors into other manipulations, other ways to resample a sound 10 times in a row within 30 minutes, and make something that's completely you would never think of, or really use a lot of chains of things together very easily. Not to get like too technical on things, but there's a lot of new ways to process audio that didn't happen before, and they're easily accessible, and there's all sorts of tutorials and teachers online and people you can talk to that will help you figure out things that in the past they didn't have. So I appreciate the people in the past that had to work so much harder. But the newer stuff is letting all sorts of musicians really create products that work for them now and like can be part of their journey as putting out music. I can't really say it's the right words, but like it could be.
It's kind of beautiful in the way though that like
help.
there's a bunch of different types of guitars, there's a bunch of different types of like brands and stuff, but the thing about these are all different types of instruments. You can like it's like becoming less and less of a standard thing for people to like carry the same thing. People are building and like creating their own rigs, right? Like their own setup based on like how they like to perform. How much of a live experience are they going to contribute to the mix that they've already created, and like what kind of live show are they going to put into that. And so it's all like so much more unique than people are giving it credit for at this point. It's a lot like the 60s, where like it kind of went away from the late 50s, the early 60s, which happened to be great music, but a lot of it was kind of like, studio based. Like it's like, this is what it takes to make a pop song or a hit. The Beatles did this and everybody's going to sound like this for a long time, until bands really all just started sounding so much like themselves.
Well, and record labels had a lot more control back then.
Yeah.
In terms of what music we'd experience on the radio.
Well, yeah, but I mean, even in the 60s when they still had control, there was still like, okay, like the Doors didn't sound like the Beatles and they didn't sound like the Rolling Stones. Kind of, sort of, if you're looking at it from a super far away, like you're generalizing it to the point like, does rock and roll fool?
Yeah.
Like there, yeah, sure. But like they really all, that was like a very important thing about the 60s is there was so much new unique sound, so many new unique sounds coming from all of these different people, to where later people kind of say, okay, we're going to take a little bit of this, we're going to sound like this and this, and then they created that flat thing. This is what it sounds like. 70s, then it goes to 80s, 90s, and then now we're back into this electronic revolution, this like era where it's like all of these gadgets that it's kind of a thing that's like, for me, I have to admit, like I'm not well equipped at all for it, because I kind of skipped over gaming and like all of these other things that really just taught a lot of young people how to be good with like electronics and technology, like basic shit. Like I'm kind of like one of those old people, like I don't really like, I'm like, I need help.
They said our generation too. I don't know who they are, but they say our generation's going to experience that faster than our parents' generation, and it's going to go like that for like a while now. It's just going to, because technology is going to keep changing year after year so fast that we're going to feel older sooner. Each generation that comes after us is going to have that too.
It's basically
like
going to jump like 1,000
being like, I can't
years.
understand what these 16-year-olds are doing,
Sure, I believe that.
It was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I've been actively trying to fight that sense, whenever I catch myself, like some kind of thought, in that, like that same boat, kind of creeping in, I'm just like, nah, I'm not going to be that guy. Not yet. Like, give it a shot, give it a chance. And I'm usually, happy with the way that shit goes. But sometimes I'm just like I remember when I found out that like, oh, kids don't use Facebook anymore. Like, high school kids and stuff like that. They don't use Facebook. And just like that fucking blew my mind. And then I'm like, oh shit,
what
I'm
is
that
it
guy.
now? There's like Tumblr, there's all these other different things.
I used Zanga, then I went to MySpace, then I had
Twitter and Instagram.
Facebook.
I just had I couldn't do Twitter.
I don't do Twitter either. I can't keep up with it.
I fucking love Twitter.
Yeah, I know. You like it. There's Tumblr now.
And like I hate Twitter, but
yeah, I hate Facebook enough too. I just know that I need to use it for like,
it's a huge part of our community, at least.
Yeah.
For
it definitely
everything
is.
I'm doing. That's all we talk through is Facebook, which is crazy. And now Mark Zuckerberg, I just saw. I said his name kind of funny, but Zuckerberg. This sake, I swear, it's good. Mark Zuckerberg. He's now the third richest person on the planet. He just
I believe that.
He passed Warren Buffett, I think it was.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That's
so now
crazy.
It's just Bezos and Elon Musk raised up there. I don't know if it's Bill Gates. Bill Gates is number one.
Yeah.
Elon Musk is not in the top 3, but he's
I think it's in
Probably
the top like.
fairly
So
rich.
Gates is
Fairly
number
rich.
one in
Gates
the world.
is number one in the
Yeah.
world. Yeah.
In the world.
In the
Okay.
world.
What about like no like Saudi
Microsoft.
princes or anything like fucking?
I think they make like some of the top 10, but yeah.
Well,
I'm
this
pretty
is
sure it's-
also probably their reported income. You know, like there's probably not to say anything about Saudi princes.
Or just people in general.
But-
Like
but
there's
people in general-
usually people that
I'm
have
sure-
money have like from different places. Probably
In that area too, there's tons of money. We know it, we see it, but we don't know if they account for it the same way that
Sure.
maybe in America
Valid
we
point.
account for. Well, because if I had a lot of money, I'm not gonna tell everybody I have a lot of money.
But wouldn't that
But-
also be?
you know,
Wouldn't that also
that's
be
like
said
something
for
that we
any
do
of
in
these guys,
America.
though? That could also be said for any of these guys, though.
Yeah.
I
Oh
mean,
shit! I just googled
True.
this right now. Oh, okay, wait, never mind. Sorry, yeah. Oh, I guess it's Bezos, then Bill Gates, then Warren Buffett, Bernard Arnault, whoever that is.
Yeah, they
then
said
Mark
Warren
Zuckerberg.
Buffett just dropped down because he's part of like this annual $1 million donation to some fund or some like charity or something like that.
Yeah,
He's-
I know. Some of them have like donated their way out of that top spot.
Yeah.
Like Bill Gates has for sure, because it's made like billions of dollars to the Gates Foundation and stuff.
I think I just saw Zuckerberg moved up.
Yeah,
if
I don't
it's
know how
true.
old this is. Or maybe it's like a Forbes like. It looks like it's actually like an ongoing thing or something.
That's
I don't
crazy.
know
They have
really
second
shit.
by
I don't
second
really
who's
care
the
that
richest
much.
on the
Yeah,
planet.
exactly.
And that would be a really
Based
interesting
on, like,
ticker.
stock
Well,
prices and shit.
I mean, we
guess-
already know that no matter what, like Facebook in maybe 10 years or probably less than that might not be anything. I mean, just as easily as it is something right now. You know,
Yeah.
could be
I
the
don't
richest-
know. I don't think that's like, I don't think that's going to, the idea that like, oh, some technology is going to come to replace that. Like, I think Facebook,
It depends on how much
It might,
gold
it,
your
it
technology
might, it
has.
might be 10 years or it might be 20 years, but like eventually it's not going to like fucking last forever. It just
Yeah.
won't. Like it's never happened.
Well,
where
we grew
things
up
have
with
lasted forever
Nintendos
like that.
and there's
yeah, and then they get
Ataris
surpassed, and then they get
other-
surpassed, and then they get surpassed.
See
Something new
Surge.
will always come
yeah,
along.
but
Search
we
code.
always had, or like, we've always had like, the New York Times, like the Washington Post. Like, I think it's going to be,
Some
similar
people have
to
a
that.
big enough hold
It's
that
gonna
they
be around.
won't be replaced, or they'll have a longer stay for sure.
Yeah. Or
And
like,
Facebook definitely, they have so much influence on a million things.
this is all assuming like they don't get like shut down or something like that because of everything that's like kind of going on.
They
you know?
brush it off. I guess their stock went down quite a bit from the recent scandal that we found
Yeah.
out with Cambridge Analytica, and then they're
But
now up like
it shot
30,
right back
40%, like right back up to where they and on path to keep going.
Yeah,
And so-
no,
Because
they're
they
still-
did the
they're
whole
still doing very well.
obligatory. We're sorry. Remember,
Yeah.
like South
Yeah.
Park when they had fucking.
We're sorry.
What was
Oh,
it?
their commercial
British
fucking cracks me up every time. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's-
we were here to connect you to your friends, da da da, and then
We go-
something happened.
We fucked
and we're
up.
doing it like it's like no, there's something happened that you just yada yada yada. It was
Yeah.
like you completely like destroyed
We're
like
doing
the American
everything we can to
democracy
make
by
this
like
right.
aiding and abetting a foreign power like taking over this country. Like, oh yeah, something happened.
Something
It was
weird
a pretty
is
big
happening.
fucking something.
We're
We're
sorry.
in a weird time right now with China. The
Yeah, it's
prime minister is prime minister president. I don't remember which one.
he's
you call him.
president.
Xi.
Yeah, President
Xi.
Yeah.
Xi.
Or is it Prime Minister Xi?
Xi.
No, I think it's
Xi.
President Xi.
Xi.
Yeah, Xi.
Xi.
It's X-I.
Xi.
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 Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to say it the wrong way. Anyways, he got.
You probably
I
always
probably
said it a
the
few
wrong way
times
10 times.
wrong, right there.
But he just, I guess they got rid of term limits for him, so he's pretty much set in to be
Yeah, he just like seized power
until
after,
he
like, a
dies.
long-
He's he's
after a long time
not a
of,
dictator
like, getting
quite,
rid
but
of his like dissenters and stuff like that.
I think
Like,
that's happening
he's
with
close to it.
Russia taking what was it, Crimea?
Crimea, yeah. Yeah.
They like
And-
annexed them. I feel like there's some weird moves where people are trying to go back to imperialistic ways of like,
Oh,
you know,
it's- that's-
changing the map of the world. And I feel like we're in that part of history where it's going to happen again
Yeah.
at some point.
Yeah.
Whether the United States want it or not, other countries
We're approaching
want
it
that.
fast. No,
Yeah.
well, the problem is that like Putin is architecting a lot of this stuff, and with a goal to like dismantle the EU, like get rid of NATO, and then get the world to like still recognize him after he annexed Crimea.
Yeah.
And he's fucking winning. He's really good at what he does because
No,
he
he's
took over
killing
this
it. Our
country.
country's helping him do what he wants,
Absolutely.
which is very disheartening.
Yeah, no, we've
that's
been
not the
fucking
normal.
had. Like we've been taken over by Putin's people, and it's ridiculous, man. It's so crazy. We just had 10 senators in Russia on the 4th of July, and they all come back going, you know what? We really should like lift the sanctions on Russia. Like I think we're
Not cool.
it's not really doing anything, So like, well, we just let them go, And the whole Crimea thing's like, oh, really do we care? It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like.
You should care.
This is
It's
fucking
not our neighbor, but if
treasonous.
Mexico took Texas back, you think would be pretty crazy, right?
Well, yeah. Well,
Fuck yeah, dude, they nuked the whole fucking
Yeah, I know.
the whole country by that point.
God damn, man! Like just today, like remember those guys in Oregon, those like rednecks who like got their guns and like took
Yeah,
over
I
that
remember.
government building and like held it for so long. Trump pardoned them today.
Okay.
Like the ones that like set fire to like government lands and like almost killed like 5 firefighters. Those guys. He's just like
They deserve
what?
a pardon
You're fine.
for sure, yeah.
Dude, I actually went through like just today. I just took quick notes on like all of the horrible news that like I read, and if you'll give me, that was one of them.
For today?
This
Just
is
for
just
today.
this is just from today. All right. So also Trump picked his justice nominee.
Okay.
Who coincidentally is the only one that believes that you can't indict a sitting president, and that a president should be able to pardon himself and basically be above the law.
Yeah.
What are the chances? I mean, that's crazy. Well, good for him. I found out. They probably kidnapped they deported an American citizen, and have like orphaned their kid, and they cannot find them.
Oh no.
And they were citizens. Let's see. Okay, well,
Crazy.
the justice that retired, his son worked for a major bank that took money from Russian oligarchs and gave it to the Trump campaign by the like tens of millions or something like that, like 100 million. And so that's the guy whose son, coincidentally, he stepped down, and now they're saying, oh no, they've been in talks for him to step down if he would nominate this guy. Like the guy that he wanted, like all this, hyper conservative, like overturning Roe v. Wade, like abortion's going to be illegal in this country again, and they're also going to rule on whether or not a president can just pardon himself. So that's actually what's at stake right now.
Which is crazy. It's Trump. He is definitely guilty. We don't know how much or of what and when, but it's gonna come down that he's guilty. But he's playing every card he can, whether it's getting people on media, on TV to talk for him, or it's doing things behind the scenes. He's just doing everything he can to make sure that he can keep going on for what he would hope 3 or 4 terms or indefinitely until he dies. Like that would be his dream to finish off.
He's lashing out like a cornered rat right now because he
Yeah.
knows like all of this actual shit is going down. And, he could cause a constitutional crisis, which is why he's trying so hard to reshape the courts and the law and, of course, public opinion, because as long as he has the majority of the House, the Senate, he's got the Supreme Court, everybody is on his side, even the lower courts, like he can't be impeached. He can't even be like checked because they don't have the spine to actually say, hey, what the fuck? Like, you can't do this. You can't steal 3,000 immigrant kids with no plan to reunite them to them. He just missed a major deadline today where there was like 105 kids under 5 years old who were supposed to be reunited with their parents today. That was like the deadline that they set with the executive order. And they got 34 out of like 105. And they don't know where the rest of them are. They have no idea.
Yeah, it's nuts. This like whole political thing has never affected my view of music or like what I want to do as an artist until recently, where I see this as kind of I've heard of Trump as being like a forest fire, but then everything after forest fire usually grows back green and healthier or something like that. So I feel like after he's not president, hopefully that'll be soon, and things maybe can settle down, hopefully, and that we don't get another person that's just like Trump, but just a different person, which is possible too. Maybe we can go back to feeling more relaxed just in our own skin, but this like uneasiness is spurring all sorts of artistic expression, and I think that we'll enjoy the music and the art that comes from this period, even though we don't enjoy living in it as much. So I could, it's like a double-edged sword, and I think that it's gonna he's already raised a lot of issues as to how we treat women, and what we want in our president's candor and how much he can talk to the public and like how we want to be represented across the world and stuff. I was never more concerned about tariffs or like our relationship with Canada when Obama was president or I was a younger kid, but now as I'm going to be older as an adult, there's this whole generation that's experienced this now that are going to hold our lawmakers and our presidents specifically more accountable. And hopefully we can get past this point where we feel uneasy and like we're just kind of have to do what somebody is making us do, which is, the worst feeling in the world. And we can get to a point where we're more unified and everybody feels like they have a voice in creating this human experience, especially as Americans,
Yeah, and that's one of the most like uplifting things about some of this is to see how many young people now are like civically engaged and civic minded. Like these Parkland kids, like they made it cool. Like my brother and all of his friends are super into this shit. So I took my little brother who's he's about to be a senior in high school, like him and two friends over to the protests last weekend. And it's like, shit, man, like I could not find one person who even would know about that shit when I was that age and like this obsessed with that shit. But now it's like, it's becoming a thing.
Yeah.
And those Parkland kids, like they're still going on tour. And I read this story, I think it was yesterday, about how, they went to Texas to hold like one of their town hall meetings and stuff like that. And there's a bunch of counter protesters over there. And like one of the kids was talking to the counter protesters, and he was talking some shit, and he was talking about one of like the more famous kids, and then he kind of showed up, and then the guy's like, "Oh, it's you." And so he started asking him all these questions, like, "Why are you trying to take my guns away?" He's like, "Actually, that's not our platform. We all actually think guns are an important part of the community, stuff like that. We just want to put some some reasonable restrictions on the way that we handle them and the way that we do stuff like that." And their platform is super reasonable, and then they're like, "Oh, okay." And so I guess the conversation went on for, like a good hour and a half as they all fielded questions from the counter protesters that were there. Yeah. And by the end of it, like they were helping the counter protesters like register to vote and stuff like that. And they were like on their side. It was just amazing with a little bit of like
diplomacy
like
conversations where like people have a chance to speak and speak freely are awesome. I think what we get in the news and just on TV all the time is all these like quick quotes or like headlines that would be on a newspaper headline. I know that's a lot of the way that Trump likes to write, with like putting things in all caps and things.
Yeah.
And you get used to these talking points and these like spins and people who represent maybe your political view, like maybe you're Republican and you're watching Republicans on TV talk, or Democrats, and a lot of them are very silver-tongued. They're very good at being able to spin something or flip it or change to a talking point they want to talk about and not actually address something.
That's all bullshit.
And we can see it's bullshit, but that's not what we need to solve these issues. Yeah. That's why we're mad at our Congress and our government, is because
people are
they all do that shit,
it.
because they're all selling a side. And we got the ultimate salesman in the president that's all he's doing is selling bullshit for somebody. As long as it works out for him and his family, he's stoked, and he's already figured that out. It's going to work out well for him and his family. It already has.
What a coincidence that tariffs don't affect Ivanka's, deals in China or anything like that.
Yeah, it's insane the time we live in, but I think it will spur a better future. And it's weird that we're experiencing it. It's almost like this. Between the Disney movies, Clinton 90s times, and going into Obama where there's all this hope, I feel like my young mindset of the government was like a very different direction as to where America is in the world and where it's going to go. And this last like 2 years, I think it's been only, it's completely changed and I totally understand the America that we've been and like how much farther this thing has to go to get where I think it's, in the right direction. And there's so many people that think they know the right direction anyways. So it's kind of a hard conversation when there's all these people that are like, well, let's make America great again. It's like, well, can you break that down into like 2 paragraphs about when it was great and, how that affected your family directly?
Right.
And you can't get people to have that like secondary conversation. It's just about that first headline that they want to go with, that sales line. And it gets kind of hard to have these like real conversations to get real answers.
I mean, you're right. There's a part of the show The West Wing, which I've like recently binge watched because it's one of the greatest shows that was ever made, man.
I have a bone to pick with you though. Breaking Bad is definitely better than fucking The Wire.
I'm gonna agree on that.
So close. It's so close.
I don't know. The Wire's a lot of the same thing, though. It's like just same thing. We get it, McNulty. You're a badass. So get the fuck out of here,
dude. The Wire's a great fucking show. I cannot comfortably say that it's better than Breaking Bad, but like if there's anything that like comes close,
Breaking Bad was pretty great.
Anyways,
up
go
there.
on about
Go
the
ahead.
West
But the
Wing.
West Wing, incredible show. And there's a part where where the president is debating his his challenger, in the general election and all that, and it's kind of make America great again might as well have been what he said, and the question was why do you think you should be the president of the United States? It was that 10-word answer, and he goes, there it is, that's 10-word answer. He's like, but tell me, I will vote for you right now, like, if you can give me the 10 words after that and the 10 words after that, because it's like politics is not easy. It's not simple. It's not something that you can break down to a bumper sticker. Like, it's complicated, it's intricate and nuanced, and you need somebody who's willing to have those conversations and really dive into what all these policies mean and stuff like that, rather than how they feel. And that was, I think, one of the greatest like rebuttals to how far things have strayed since. Well, I mean, ever. I don't know if it was ever really that much better than what it is now, but
it's just crazy, this level of deceit and shadiness that I feel coming from the top, which I had never really felt before. I was annoyed with Bush. I thought it was funny when they made fun of him on SNL.
Yeah.
I also thought he was pretty stupid the way he talked.
Yeah.
But like the way his policies and his ideas.
Well, he at least tried to cover shit up. This motherfucker is not even.
I didn't
trying.
really remember.
He's like doesn't even give a shit.
Yeah, no, it's just
he's
in
like,
your face.
I can do this, he's just over there like, bitch, I could do whatever the fuck I want, like, and he's doing.
And he
it.
has done it. He said that in the Access Hollywood.
He doesn't
tapes.
even like budge.
It's
like,
literally grab him by the pussy, but just as a life
really,
philosophy.
Nobody's in charge over there. Like,
It doesn't
he's
matter.
doing shit, and like
he's like a
his
big
staff,
bully that just kind of comes over and takes over. Like,
his staff are finding out on the news, like while we are, like, just all of a sudden he'll tweet some shit, and they're all like, "What?
So
That's
we're gonna
our
roll
foreign
with this
policy
now?
Fuck.
Yeah.
Okay." And then they all scramble to get it done. Like, but they just found out because Putin announced it, like, on Russian TV, that they have like regular correspondence via like a personal cell phone. Like, it's not like a logged call with the White House. It's not done through any official back channel or anything like that. It's literally like just him and a cell phone, and they call each other and they talk.
Yeah.
And nobody knew about it. And there's no recording of it. There's no transaction there. And then,
it's so inappropriate.
We're finding shit out about him from the reporting of foreign media. That's how we're finding out about, like, the way he talked to, like, Canada and Australia and North Korea. Fuck. It's like we cannot trust these people, like, to a level that is completely unheard of. And I cannot stress this enough. This has not happened before. Yeah. No part of this is normal. We are so fucking far off the track here. Like, yes, everybody should be as, like, nobody is being hysterical. Like, this shit is fucking crazy, man.
I'm seeing it more and more where people are awakening to that same mentality and trying to be very proactive. But it's a thing where, because of his positioning and who supports him, he's always going to be like 2 steps ahead. So it's just gotta, like, you gotta try your best. But everything that is coming out is he has the day or two ahead advantage that gets him to keep going, because he's done all sorts of crazy shit his whole life, and always, because of some new deal he made, got him out of the old deal that he was fucked over on.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's all. I think it's like the whole machine that got him there, because he's a symptom, not necessarily the cause. And I think that machine has built such a powerful, like, propaganda wing that's got people so entranced by every little thing he does, to the point where Kim Jong-un is, like, pulling in a higher favorability, like, report with Republicans than Nancy Pelosi is. Like, they prefer this brutal, like, murderous dictator to that. I mean, I've gone over 1,000 examples in the past of, like, why it's so fucking, like, real.
What's up with him? Is he still anything going on with
Kim Jong-un? Oh yeah, no, he completely ramped up all of his nuclear missile capabilities and stuff like that, and he's been working on it forever. And they're reporting it on state news, and they sent Secretary of State Mike Pompeo over there to North Korea to, like, talk to him, and they just fucked with him the whole time. Like, they just make him sit in a room for, like, hours and stuff like that. Like, lights would go out, like, they didn't feed him and shit like that. Like just, like, shit to fuck with him. And then he never met with Kim Jong-un, like, while he was there. He's like, oh, sorry, I'm busy, Like they're just embarrassing him, and then they're going on state media, like the North Korea state media, and they're showing videos of it. They're like, look at these fucking like American, dumbasses. Like
No, I'm sure they're trying to take advantage of us for sure.
Scandalous.
Yeah.
It's scandalous. It's
Well-
I'm sorry to laugh, but it's kind of like comedic. It's like
and
I'm fucking
only
watching
everybody saw this coming, except for that
Yeah.
fucking dolt. So
Well, he's using it as points to why he's a great diplomat and that his base should vote him in again.
Absolutely.
Like he's trying to do everything now as of the last like 3 months and going forward to help him get reelected. Like that's his new focus and effort.
I think he knows that the indictments are coming down.
Yeah.
I think he knows that Robert
yeah.
Mueller is like hot on his tracks. Like they've got like 17 indictments and 5 guilty pleas. Like he is right around the corner and he's trapped. Like he knows like the law is coming for me with hard, clear evidence that like I've been working with a foreign power. So they're trying to get everything jammed in like as much as they can because I feel like most of them knew this was coming. So everybody's playing along just to keep this shit going for a little while.
Yeah.
But these are like wild overreaches of presidential power and stuff like that.
I think some people got out of him what they wanted, which is that tax cut.
Yeah, that was
a lot
the
of
biggest
rich
one.
people are very happy for that.
Yeah,
there's things that I'm trying to know what else the elite who wanted him in power and are supporting him and maybe still support him currently, what they could want more out of him, because destabilizing our place in the world and our economics on the world stage is not necessarily something I think they're into, and creating culture wars is not necessarily something I think that they're super into, but who knows, maybe they are. I don't know.
I think they're indifferent to it.
Yeah. But the money thing makes sense. Like if they got that, then they wanted him for that.
Yeah.
I understand why, he had such backing to go into it. But I'm wondering what else he can deliver for his oligarch base that supports him. Not his base that he wants to elect him, but the people that he's making policy for.
I mean, so much more. I mean, they just got rid of Scott Pruitt, and so all these EPA regulations, stuff like that.
That's
all this
true.
environmental
Regulations
stuff is
that
all, getting
hurting
cranked up
old
again.
money.
Yeah, exactly. He's rolling back. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, that's gone. So credit card companies and banks to go back doing everything they were doing that led to 2008 and 2007. And I think the next thing that hopefully like this is like kind of getting out there. But I think he's trying to destabilize and dismantle NATO. And I think that has been like the bedrock of modern civilization, like after World War II. Like you get rid of that and there's no safety net anymore. Like there's no cooperation to make sure there isn't any like great dictator rise to power. And I think he's kind of like signaling in that direction because I think that's what Putin would want. Hopefully,
you're right. Maybe those are things that they would want, and he has more work to do because he's definitely gearing up to try to get elected again.
Oh yeah,
I could see that. You could see him on the campaign trail currently. You could see him still like trying to charge up his base, which his base is designed. Like he said this years ago, where if he were to try to run, he would go with being a Republican, even though he's not. Because he could get them to vote for him.
I snoped that quote, and I don't think that one is correct.
You don't think? What did he say?
I've
heard this from a couple shows, but maybe it could be wrong.
But I'd like fact check that because it was one of those things that like kicks off in my mind. Like, no, that's too perfect. Like that can't be real. That is way too like.
I've seen it and I've heard it, but who knows? That's the thing with like you never know what the fuck is true out there because people make memes.
I've read fact checkers and stuff like that.
I'm saying initially when you're looking at these things initially, like you can see it and be like, well, why would they lie about that? But people blatantly do go fucking lie on the internet all the time, and they make up quotes and put that there. True. And people don't have the time to look into shit, and so they just like believe it. Well,
there's a well documented like machine of like somebody will make something like a blog will make something up, just straight up make it up, and then like a semi legitimate blog will pick that up as the source and then report that, and then it just escalates up the chain until it gets onto Fox News. It's like, well, no, several outlets are reporting that like this, but you can trace that all directly back and see, oh no, it was just like one guy with a blog that like kind of made it up, and he sourced like 2 tweets from it. Well,
I can feel a narrative from the left where Trump is the devil and evil and needs to disappear immediately, and that's not always the case, and there might be words or things that go with that, and then like on the right, they'll try to sell him as a god and a hero and like somebody that is unlike anybody else that's ever existed, a cowboy, you know, and like so there's all these narratives like being pushed. I mean, they don't say he's a cowboy. That was more of like a
for sure.
maverick cowboy was like
know.
Romney, but
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Though.
yeah, like they have all this thematic
He's
ideas.
a badass that doesn't take shit. He's
Yeah.
like a John Wayne, Clint Eastwood. The people that like a lot of people like worship religiously. Like, you know, it was kind of like the same thing with Charlton Heston back in the day too. It was like Charlton Heston was Jesus and Moses at the same time. He was like fucking like you know, fucking John Wayne was the Duke. He's the fucking man, and Clint Eastwood. You just don't fucking challenge whatever Clint Eastwood says. He could say the most racist fucked up thing in the world, and it's what Clint Eastwood said. You know, just stop being a pussy. Clint Eastwood said it. You know what? You never saw the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Right?
Like what the fuck?
Yeah, no, those are great movies, but yeah, those guys are racist as fuck. And fuck them now.
Well, I could see how I at least feel his base is a little more designed like into this one box, and it's definitely not a box that I'm inside of. Like I don't connect with a lot of the themes and the language that's coming out, or the, you know, racial tensions that are coming out of that. And
Yeah, man, that's
so
getting worse.
that's the scariest part, because I've never felt like racism was so
Clint Eastwood made a movie
Around.
basically to like kind of justify his racism, or at least like try to downplay it to where you like it just accepted it for
But that
what
was
it
a
was.
pretty good movie, though.
It was a good movie
And
for
that was
sure.
like kind of the point.
It was kind of the point, but that's, I mean, that's what I'm saying though. Like he did that, and it was just like, okay, but it's still like your fans didn't pick up the message. You know, like the ones that are like they're supportive. It's like the Rick and Morty thing, like you were saying.
Yeah.
It's like no, they're still, you know, worshiping Rick as if he's like this person that they want to be, when really no, he's just kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah, I've been noticing that kind of theme a little bit more lately. Like recognizing it where it's coming out. People who just like worship a lot of these things and get the exact opposite of what the message was. You know, you got like the Rick and Morty. I think I think that happens on Joe Rogan's show a lot. I think that happens with like, you know, South Park and Fight Club, and like there's a lot of like pop culture that we all know and love. But there are so many people who take that and go, oh, being like a giant piece of shit is cool.
Yeah,
And
like
caring-
Scarface. Scarface is probably like the biggest one.
Oh, yeah.
It's like everybody like, oh, fool, I want to be like Scarface. It's like, you realize he gets shot the fuck up at the end. Yeah, fool, but there's like a mountain of coke there, dog. You know,
The
like,
whole thing is he's empty and like dead inside
Yeah.
way before that. And,
I
like,
never
he's everything
understood
you
that.
love.
How people like looked up to like that share when you watch Goodfellas or like, you know, even The Godfather, and you don't somehow get the like most important part of the message. Everybody just thinks, oh, that's fucking gangster, fool. It's like, dude, every gangster story has like a certain fucking message, which is don't be a gangster. Like just don't do it.
Don't do it.
You know, just like every blow story is like, just don't do it. You know, like, come on. You know, I mean, not to say that being gangster is not fun every once in a while, you know, but like you're eventually gonna.
I mean, sometimes you want to do hood rat stuff with your friends. but
Exactly.
yeah.
Some days you gotta just go do hood rat stuff with your friends.
I think the internet makes our community so big, where our parents' generation didn't have to deal with that so much, that we're exposed to so many new personality types and
There's
ideas.
just so many information.
And everybody kind of gets lost in that, and so looking for their pocket to fit in, and it's kind of divided us more than like I feel like if you were to look back in the Native American communities, like they had to be so tight knit when they're hunting and dying together and trying to feed each other and like survive, and they were just like, you know, 20 of them or maybe 100. You know, it was a lot smaller of a community versus with this huge community now that especially through online, but just where there's TV, there's your phone, there's like a million ways that people contact you. And it's you get kind of lost up in all the different personalities. You could be like, this is the right way to go. And some people that are really galvanizing and polarizing can come to power so much easier than I would think before. I feel like Trump would not be as popular, you know, 20, 30 years ago if he didn't have the tactics he uses on the internet and stuff.
It's like
a whole new frontier.
All these bad ideas get to flourish with other people who have the same bad ideas, you know? And that's not like, I always thought like open communication and people being able to understand and talk to people from all over the place would foster like a new generation of tolerance, because people would see like, oh, we're not any different. Like, you guys are fun. And I'm realizing, oh,
Well, no,
shit.
it is happening though. It's just going to take a lot longer, and a lot of shitty stuff's going to happen because
Well,
those people that were ignorant didn't just become ignorant only on Facebook. They were ignorant before Facebook, and so we're part of the first generation of Facebook and technology that way. Where now, after this wave of things, there will be less, at least in that regard. In the future, it's going to be something completely different, unfortunately. But like right now, those people are going to definitely. They're gonna lose, and they're gonna start to fall off, and it's gonna start to change little by little. Like you said, you're already seeing it. Your brother and his friends, they're younger than you could have ever imagined going to these things and doing stuff that I would fucking never even have done in college. Like I mean, yeah.
But I on the same hand though, it's like we're seeing like actual white supremacist groups like come back, like not be ashamed or anything like that because they're all able to find each other and grow into actual like scary numbers. Yeah. And it's because of the internet, If they were just left in their own little pocket before, but now you've got things like 4chan and Gamergate that are giving all these people something to like drive towards and stuff like that, and it's indoctrinating them into these like white supremacy ideas. That's kind of how the alt-right got going.
It's just I feel like if the people are already experiencing that hate, they're going to go that way. It certainly is a way to get them there faster, or probably to aid them, but like this sort of thing, the problem's there, and they're going to keep multiplying until eventually this wave is wiped out. As I'm saying, it is the unfortunate circumstance that we are experiencing and that we're always going to experience. There's never going to like not be fucking shitty people out there that we're going to have to combat and try to rise above. That's always going to happen.
Yeah.
And so you can't discredit the good that it could bring too. The togetherness that people have experienced through the internet.
Oh, definitely.
If you measure it comparatively,
Oh, absolutely. No, I would not. I would say overall, yes, the good does outweigh the bad.
Okay.
But you also like I don't know what to do here. I don't know what the answer is, but it worries me that it is fostering all of these like these mass shootings and stuff like that. If it's the same fucking profile, they're all like these incels, alt-right, like 4chan, like meme posting, like Pepe the Frog, Avatar, white dudes in trench coats, like with the fingerless gloves and shit like that. And like that's something that I think needs to, I don't know, be addressed in a way that's obviously like constitutional. I'm not saying anything crazy, but like how do you culturally like teach people the problems of that and deal with that as a society?
I think teaching people is really, you hit it right there, just kind of buried in your sentence. But
and I'm gonna go with my super hippy dippy answer when you're done too.
Okay, but I think like education. I mean, I don't want to talk about DeVos or what we're currently doing with our education systems, but I'd say huge thing that we don't really invest in most countries, and we're one of the better invested countries in it. But I think the better taught our community is generally they'll be more peaceable and more productive.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, that's not always the case, but I definitely think that's a huge catalyst towards bringing on the revolution of the human experience that we would like to be a part of. And it makes me sad when I see schools closing programs, closing departments, teachers not being able to find a job,
Yeah.
We definitely need to put education as like in the forefront, right behind probably health and then education.
And there's a direct correlation between like poverty, violence, and these after school programs and stuff like that. Like I was just reading somebody put together like a timeline of like the Illinois governor like shutting down all these after school programs and stuff like that. I don't remember the details all right now. And then crime, like 2 years later, crime spikes, and especially around these things. So does like the rate of dropouts, stuff like that. Like all this shit starts going bad because of that. And then the governor and his cohorts kind of like point to Chicago and they go like, oh well, obviously it's the mayor's failed policies and stuff like that. And he's saying no, like this is picking up because there's all this going on. And it's just like each one of these things kind of begets another. And I think a lot of it does start with education, like you're talking about, man.
Yeah, and education too. Like we're starting to realize that it's the standardized way that they've done it for so long isn't effective for everybody. And there's, at least now we have the ability to teach in so many different ways. But I think that back to what my hippy dippy answer was going to be, something that you can do in positive ways, other than just being a kinder person and paying it forward every chance that you get, because it is those little small things that do go a lot further than we can ever really measure. making art, whether it's music, whether it's art that speaks to people in a way where they can receive the message that you're putting out for them, and it'll make them want to do something about it. It'll move them to at least go in that direction, hopefully, because that's how I've been moved. A lot of people receive things differently. Some people react better by like watching direct information from the television. Some people like hearing it in podcasts. Some people like reading about it in the newspaper. Some people like seeing messages portrayed through movies. That's a very effective way. Like the movies, there's a lot of bad shit out there, but you can definitely use that platform for making positive messages for people.
I was gonna say, just real quick, like I think that actually is like that's playing out right now, and I think it is having an effect, because if like imagine if you felt really strongly about something and all the things that you loved, every TV show, all the comedy you watch, all the music you listen to, everybody's like, hey, if you like this shit, you're a fucking asshole. Like I think that is definitely like wearing on people, and they're going like, oh man, like do I give up all these fun, like these things that I liked, or do I stick with like my little community team here? And I think that's enough to kind of draw people away, and that like art is educating people about what is wrong with this shit.
Yeah.
We were all educated by our like movies that we grew up on, like we were talking about right now. Lessons learned from the movies as well as music. And as you grow up, you start to relate to the people that you listen to, and all the words that you used to chant without really understanding them growing up, like start to take on a whole new meaning. And you're like, holy shit, yeah. Now I've like experienced that, what they were talking about, what they went through. And it does shape you, just the way you believe, in so many ways. And yeah, so that was my answer for how.
No, it's a great answer. I think art and music and those like forms of human expression really connect us a lot, and are pretty much the opposite of war. Like that's when I was in college, I was trying to decide if I wanted to be a biochemist and work in a lab, or maybe be a doctor, or if I want to do music. And I chose music because I felt like it was the best thing that I could do with my energy on this planet, and because I felt like it was the opposite of war. Like it brought people together. It definitely, my spirit felt it a lot, and I really enjoyed it. But I see at all these shows people from different races, different ages, different backgrounds coming together and being together peaceably, and even having a blast. A lot of them smiling and dancing and like being free. And I feel like that's got to be the most opposite of what war is, where we don't connect at all, and we treat each other like animals. We don't even, they even make up nicknames for the other side so that it's easier for you to kill them and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's crazy the way that war gets,
Yeah.
And so I'll always think about that in music, and I'm thinking as the times that we're going through, that it's the like bands like Rage Against the Machine and stuff like that really brought political values in their music, and so still put on a great show. I think there's a lot of room for that to grow, and I'm interested in also adapting some of those ideas to shows that I put on or be part of,
Yeah.
Because I think it's an important thing to give voice to the movement of the human spirit and people that want us to come together and be the better versions of ourselves. I think that side needs more champions too.
Definitely. So speaking of,
what's their new band right now? I'm blanking on it. It's like Rage Against the Machine.
Prophets of Rage.
Prophets of Rage, that's what it was.
That's with actually just, it's Tom
Chuck D.
Morello, Chuck D, and Be Real.
Yeah, they're fucking sick.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to plug a few shows before we go.
That's what I was going to ask you. So since we're just talking about
I've
the
been trying
coming
to keep this
together,
open.
what shows can people come together to fucking see the saxophone, the space jazz,
Well, you can always
the baby making music?
follow me on Instagram or Facebook or SoundCloud if you look up StarFox, ST4RFOX. And I've got these posted up, and as the weeks come, I always give a little flyer, a little info as to where it's at. But basically on the 19th, I'm in Santa Monica with the Ruckus, playing a live band set with vocals, guitarists, live drums. I'm playing sax and trumpet, and it's going to be a fun, bluesy surf rock kind of jam. We've got the Kazooloo Mountain Jam. Of course, you know about that. We're going to come together, do a little kazooing in the woods, but also actually do some pretty cool music, acoustic jamming. A couple-day retreat out into the woods. In San Diego, on the 26th, I'll be out there doing a show for Subdrip. And then on July 28th, Love Long Beach Festival. I'm going to do that one back-to-back with Dream Life and have New Gent come out, Chase, and do some vocals. And that'll be the live trio group. That one's only $5 ticket. It's right on the harbor. So I have definitely suggest that for all my local friends and anybody that wants to come out that's listening. That's the 4 next ones, but always keep an ear out. I have shows every month and all sorts of new music coming out.
Excellent. So where can we find you, Phil?
Oh, well, you guys, you can always find myself in my, pretty unhinged political rantings if you want some more of that. You can check out my Twitter at Phil Nobody Cares. And if you want to check me out on Instagram, where I take selfies of me crying as CNN plays in the background, you can find me at Nobody Cares Phil.
And you can find me, as always, at Hoodrat Stuff on Instagram, and follow the Psychedelic Lions Den, psychedelic_lions_den. Check out all this dope-ass art. Be sure to come to the Kazooloo Mountain Jam, which is next weekend in the Angeles Forest. It might be hot, but it's going to be really fucking fun. If you're not going to Comic-Con or Northern Nights or any one of the other festivals going on, be sure to be there or be a muggle. Anyways, thank you all for fucking turning in, and as always, subscribe to us on. Go ahead, Phil. Do that thing.
You know what? They can go ahead. Whatever you would have said, you would be right, because we are fully syndicated across the board, my man. You can check us out on iTunes. You can check us out on Stitcher. You can check us out on a TI-84 graphing calculator. I mean, I swear to God, Spotify. We are everywhere. So,
my friend said he saw you on Grindr too.
Yeah. No, I post it there.
Okay,
I go.
good.
It's like a person to person, like it's a real intimate form of marketing that I do to try to really boost our numbers here.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm all about that business.
And sticking to it.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in. As always, let it bleed.